There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Bon dia, Alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. How are you doing this morning? Great to see you here. Two. Maybe I guess it's let's include Antonio F as one of the wise men of the Gunpocalypse. We've got 3 of the 4 this morning. It's Coach Tio came up to drop him a line. How are you, T Duck? Great to see you here. Antonio F and James with a bon dia a todos. Feliz Quinta, of course, today, and Heather will be with us this morning. Heather Binder of Boots on the Ground Portugal. Forgot the banner. Let me see if I've got one for Heather, and we've got a good fun show lined up for you this morning. Some of the weird things that Heather has observed in her time here in Portugal. So chatting with her about that. Let's see if there's always one thing I forget, and it's quite often the banner. These days, what have we got here? Let's have a look. Does this work from last time? Just how religious is Portugal? No, that's not it. I'll have to do some work on that in just a moment. How are you today? We've got a bit of folkloric dancing to start the show with as well this morning, and we also have the Portuguese. Naughty, very, very naughty. Talking about 10 things he doesn't like about Portugal, which will spin into the show sometime this morning as well. I think I'll wait till Heather joins me so that we can both react to that. The naughty Portuguese. There is a little bit of a taster.
These are my top 10 dislikes about life in Portugal. Stay with me to the end, see if you agree with me.
A's good, A's good, A's good, A's good. Wicked. It's Portuguese good.
It's Portuguese are good. Okay, so we'll see him at night. Well, we won't see him live. He is live with us once a month with Katia Lima, of course, Beyond Lisbon, Katia Lima. And that's when the Portuguese Tony Bryant, Rant by Tony is an anagram of his name, funnily enough. He joins us live once a month, but it's one of his latest YouTube videos. Do subscribe. He's a very entertaining chap. I think when he's talking, it's a strange sort of sound because he's always got one tongue firmly pressed into his cheek. Well, that's how it seems to me anyway. So Heather Binder this morning from Boots on the Ground Portugal at 9. And Tony spun in sometime this morning. And weird things about living in Portugal as observed by Heather. But also you can add yours too if you'd like to share what you find a little bit weird about living in Portugal. You're very welcome to do so this morning. And let us know how you're doing this morning. I'm still feeling a bit creaky and achy. I'm going to go back to the gym later on today. Well done, Bobby. I mean, I'm down to 83 kilos from 87. He's lost 7 kilos as Bobby. So great. And he's giving me his little secret formula there, which I'm eager to read. I'm going into the 50 plus Shapeshift initiative, which I have embarked upon and thoroughly overloading and overwhelming everybody on social media with the fact. I'm going into that phase today where I'm measuring everything, not quite everything. I'm measuring all my food portions, and I've bought low-fat foods. I've been so opposed because of what I think I know about low-fat foods. I've been so opposed to buying such things. I'd rather eat half the mayo than buy and eat low-fat mayo, but I'm following the instructions as given to me by Henry. Oh, we got a fantastic picture of Henry, who is on his way to Portugal. Spent a couple of fantastic. Well, no, it wasn't a couple of weeks. It was a few days, as it turned out. Here's a brilliant picture of trainer Henry. There he is in San Martino de Porto. enjoying. I don't know what drink was that. Maybe on one of his binge days. I don't know. Where we let our hair down once in a while, or maybe he was on holiday, so he was applying different rules to himself there. But he's in front of Ricardo's VW camper bar. If you can see that at the top of the picture there, that camper van, the roof goes up on 4 legs like a table, and then Ricardo, a very cool fellow, the assistant or deputy president of San Martino de Porto, is also a bartender and a very cool chap he is too, shaking cocktails in that VW camper. And there's Henry enjoying a drink there. Considering his move to Portugal in San Martino de Porto, great photo. He's my trainer, and he's advised me, he's given me a meal plan. And today's the day when I start measuring things for the first, just like lifting weights for the first time ever in a gym. I am measuring food for the very first time in my life and eating low-fat items. So it should be interesting. I'm following the orders of trainer Henry there, and hoping to see Coach Turner as well in the chat this morning. But maybe he's busy today. How you doing, Coach T? How you doing, Dougie? All right, says Dougie there. And Sarah Taylor, good morning to you. And Pam Smith is in as well. Fantastic. Oh, and Leah, good morning to you. Lovely to see you here. Thank you so much for your support, Leah. Hola, bon dia from a very hot Texas. Wow, what time is it there as well? What's the time? What's the temperature, Leah? I really, really do appreciate your support as a GMP VIP. That guy singing looks utterly weird to me, says Mr. S. Cheers from Spain, Carl and all. Do you mean the Portuguese are naughty, naughty, very, very naughty? Okay. Oh, I see. Talking of what's weird in Portugal, that him singing. Well, I'm sure he'd take that. I suspect he would take that. He's got broad shoulders, a great sense of humor, and some interesting views, which you'll hear more about at around 9:30 when Heather's joined me. Before that, some folkloric dancing. We love it, don't we? Well, a little bit of the folkloric dancing. Here's some, and an amazing video of the president to share with you this morning, who, of course, turned up in Kiev, I think, yesterday. Bobby said he was in Ukraine. Was he? Did he say he was in Ukraine, or did he say he was somewhere else? Yeah, Ukraine, I think. For some reason, I've got another country. I think he's on a multi-country itinerary. He was in Poland, wasn't he? And then turned up in Kiev yesterday. So I've got a fantastic video of him to share with you as well. But before then, some rather gentle folkloric dancing from Fusetta, thanks to Jean, which I didn't manage to squeeze in yesterday. There you go. I think I want to see that again. That wasn't long enough. So, Jean, let's have another look at that. It makes a difference, doesn't it, from the old Denbo rhythms? And what's the other thing? What's the other type of music? Not pinga. No, what's it called? What's that Portuguese music with the accordions and the filthy lyrics? Forgotten the name. Pimba, possibly. Okay, let's have a look at that video of the president then this morning, working his way around. This is hilarious and brilliantly made, and was circulating on the internet yesterday. We have made reference to Marcelo's incredible handshake and how he tends to greet people in quite an enthusiastic way. Here he is doing that. That looks very sorry, not sorry. What did I just see? You may be asking yourself. Yes, the president of again. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't see who that was to credit there. And I think Darren's like that on arrival there. Marcelo, what a legend. Am I the only one here, or are you also looking forward one day to the chance of being shaken by the hand and other parts of the body? Well, within reason, by the president. I would quite like to experience that. And maybe there should be I don't know, a tourism visitor attraction, which is a machine, an AI inspired machine somewhere in Lisbon, where I think we should have pictured, didn't we, yesterday, of the punch bag at many Portuguese fairgrounds. There should also be one. So yeah, it doesn't need to be in Lisbon. It can be in the fairgrounds of Portugal, can't it? Where you shake hands with a robot president, and you see who comes. You see if you can outshake the fella. Smash that like button, says T Duck, and simply a description of what we've just seen there. Forceful. That's a power shake, isn't it? I think when you arrive in Portugal, or when he arrives, as he was in other countries there, shaking other people's hands with Modi of India and Donald Trump. Was that in America? Was that here? I'm not sure. He is saying, isn't he? I am the president of Portugal. You've been warned. Superb stuff. Don't get folkloric dancing. Don't get folkloric dancing mixed up with colonic dancing. Yes, that could end very badly, couldn't it? Thank you, Gary. Good morning to you. How is Al Viagra this morning? Looking forward to our Tamar weekend with you on the. It's very difficult for me to remember all these dates. Let's just have a quick look at the calendar. Tamar is our October Portugal Discovery Weekend. Dates for your diary then. Here we go. 13th, 14th, and 15th of October, where we'll be hanging out with the amazing Austin brothers and son of Terence Ben, is doing quite a lot behind the scenes to help us organize that. And he'll be front of house when you arrive there. So a chance to hang out with Ben. He taught in the early days of Good Morning Portugal. He was I don't know if he's still doing it, but he was hiring himself out as a Portuguese teacher. He's grown up here since the age of 3. And he is at least bilingual, probably more languages. I think he's into a bit of Italian as well, as it were. I don't know if he still teaches people Portuguese online. Good lad. He's a great fella. And he's also the host of our Good Morning Portugal Wine Club. Slight deviation from the norm. On the first Monday of next month, we'll be looking at this gin. It's his choice, the Amicus gin, unless they've forgotten the cedilla. Are we going to go with Amicus gin there? Smooth and dry gin. We'll be trying it neat. I forgot to put a comma in, which changed the meaning of it the other day. Trying it neat. And I didn't put a comma, so it was trying it neat in a gin and tonic and a London mule. Still probably need another Oxford comma, don't we? There. Trying it neat in a gin and tonic and a London mule. I think people are going to be quite blotto with the Mother's Ruin there on the first Monday. Looking at the calendar again, first Monday of September. That'll be the 4th, 8 o'clock, 2000 hours. If you want to come along and try some Portuguese gin. That should be good fun with Ben, who, as I say, is helping us organise a powerhouse behind the Portugal Discovery Weekend in Tamar, a Gumper gathering, truly. Oh, and a weather report here. This is the weather report, thanks to Margarita. Lady Gilchrist, there you go. I think that's still true today. Be very careful. The Portuguese quiz question of the day is about fires. We have to remain vigilant about the bushfire situation here in Portugal. And there's your weather report that is part of the problem. How are you doing? How are you coping? with the weather at the moment. Mercifully, we're still getting a bit of breeze and some silvery mist cover here on the Silver Coast, which is one of the reasons why it's given its name the Silver Coast. The other is because of all the grey-haired expats here. And apparently, it's not a phrase that the Portuguese use themselves. The Silver Coast is what I was told. It's entirely an expat, foreigner, immigrant creation, the phrase Silver Coast. Anyway, we're keeping cool over here on the coast. How are you doing in your part of Portugal? Hola, bon dia. Hola a todos. Bon dia de Mon Carapacho. It was Jean's folkloric video that we shared. And thank you so much for that. If you want to send anything into us, I know Pam's a bit partial to that as well. Great dancing video, Jean, from Pam as well, who sent us in a similar video from Alcobaça, of course. It's going to be fun. Looking forward to good food, good company, and fun times. We're going to have a great time, I think, in Tamar. And I'm working on a web page to give you more details. Oh, and there is if you'd like to join the Tamar WhatsApp, I like doing it this way. And with any platform, it's like Marmite, isn't it? Yeah, put me on that Tamar group. That's fantastic. Or no, get thee back. Anything to do with Meta, and we have to make some sort of compromise here. We have to go with something as a way of alerting and updating people. This is it so far then for the Tamar weekend, and I'm going to add the invite for you onto the screen now. So if you want to get the alerts for the Tamar weekend on the 13th, 14th, and 15th, let me do that again and say that it is the Tamar weekend. The Tamar weekend. A bit behind with my work this morning, like the man who sat on the bacon slicer. I hope the banner's okay. Let me have a look at that in just a moment. The Tamar weekend group, and I'll put that onto the screen for you so you know what that is, and you can get alerts and updates as to what's happening, and which will link you to the website and any what we do with the hotels, for example, is we choose 3. I mean, make your own arrangements by all means, but we'll make 3 serving suggestions: a budget one, a mid-price, and I think our luxury choice for Tamar will be the Templarios. I've spent a couple of nights in there and really loved it. Had some nice meals in there too. The thing about the Templarios Hotel in Tamar, it has a fantastic central location on the river Nabal. And if you're lucky enough, I think most of the balconies have a great view actually of Tamar, either convent side or riverside. So yeah, you're pretty much okay. It's got a nice pool as well, and it's like walking into a Mediterranean holiday in the 1970s or 80s. The vibe is good, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I love hotels from that period. If you fancy a change from doing Airbnb and you'd like to give yourself a treat in a nice Portuguese hotel, check out the Templarios, which will be our upmarket choice, and there will be a mid-price and a budget price as well. So if you're watching on replay, please send any comments, questions, and I'm reading my ticker tape, which is doubling as an auto cue this morning. Yeah, send any comments, whether now or when you're watching on replay. We do love to hear from people watching on replay. It is the majority of you, of course. 913-590-303, or comment on the WhatsApp line there, 913-590-303, or on the YouTube comments themselves. Join me tonight for the Expats Portugal webinar at 7:30, where we'll be talking about education. And also, yeah, I'm looking forward to the Dream Team session at 9 and the education special at 7:30. And as Jackie said yesterday, we'll be talking to the principal of a remote learning educational academy. They seem to be popping up, don't they, around the world and in Portugal. It's a weird stuff special today, thanks to Heather from Boots on the Ground Portugal, who'll be joining us in a few minutes as well. Your questions and contributions most welcome. What do you think is weird about life here in Portugal? Let us know in the chat. I think I've got that ticker tape sorted out now. And tomorrow also has a busting curious as well. What's an expots? All right, you're listening very attentively. I thought I got away with that. Okay, given that you ask, Expats Portugal is a fantastic way of getting the help you need to move to Portugal. And I will give the link. If you want to sign up, you'll get priority treatment, getting on such things as the webinar last night and asking questions on the Dream Team session. So let me put in the Expats Portugal link. If you want to sign up and get a load of discounts, you can do so using the link that I'm about to pop into the chat. Very funny, Garvo, with your cup of toy that you're almost certainly enjoying. A big mug Kupatoy over there in Alviagra this morning. There you go. There's your Expats Portugal link should you need it, which will give you preferential treatment and a few discounts off excellent services helping you move to Portugal. Right, let's scroll back up and see what was going on earlier on this morning with T-Duck of the Wise Men of the Gunpocalypse with the Bon de Alegria Gumpers at 7:55. Deep thought then, the difference between medicine and poison is in the dose. That is sobering and chilling, isn't it? Lyrics from Circa Survive, an American rock band from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, formed in 2004. Yeah, all about the iatrogenics there. We're having a little conversation, weren't we, T-Duck, about iatrogenics? Look it up. Kane Sabia then this morning. The Portuguese military consists of the general staff of the armed forces and the three service branches, the Portuguese Navy, who we already have some information about the Portuguese Navy at learnaboutportugal.com. A fantastic treasury of information over there. And if you're thinking, oh, I'm not shelling out for another flipping subscription service, some of the basic levels on learnaboutportugal.com are absolutely free. If you do want to support the show and become a GMP VIP, you can do so for €9 a month. We're very grateful when anyone does that. It all helps. And we are funded by multiple income streams, affiliate links, and the support of sponsors. It's a mixed bag, and I think that's a very sensible thing to do, of time, talent, and treasure. And if you want to be one of those very special people who has a place guaranteed in heaven for doing so, I actually can't give you a certificate for that, I'm afraid. But if you want to do that at gmpvip.com and help us out that way. You can also join the Portugal Club that way, which is a very more intensive way of being supported, coached, mentored, and buddied on your way here to Portugal. Check it out at gmpvip.com. And yes, we've all learned about Portugal, which you'll get access to, and you'll get your special areas on gmpvip.com over at learnaboutportugal.com. Am I making this complicated enough? At learnaboutportugal.com, you'll get added levels of information and privileges as well at learnaboutportugal.com. And we've already got some stuff about the Portuguese Navy, yet to have some information about the Portuguese Army and Portuguese Air Force, but we will be banking these factoids that are here with us this morning, thanks to T-Duck. The president is Marcelo, and he deserves to be head of the Portuguese military, doesn't he? With a handshake like that. Title, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces. Maybe that's what he's whispering to people as he's shaking their hand or pulling them around the neck, as we saw in the video too. The highest ranking officer is the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces. The forces are charged with protecting Portugal as well as supporting international peacekeeping efforts when mandated by NATO, the United Nations, and or the European Union. Portugal was ranked third most peaceful country in the 2017 Global Peace Index. Well done, Portugal. The armed forces have thus been focused on non-military public service activities and external military operations. The Portuguese armed forces were only open to women during the early 1990s, and up until November 2014, Portugal had mandatory conscription. 2014, wow, for all able-bodied men, national service until 2014. How about that? I'm squirreling away. Thank you for those, T-Duck. Squirreling away the dad jokes for later. I will be doing those with Heather. Be afraid, Heather. Be very afraid. Bom dia a todos. Feliz Quinta, como tem passado from Banana Slug earlier on, and a bon dia todos from Antonio. Let's name check everyone who's bothered to be here this morning. Love each and every one of you. Sarah Taylor, bon dia. Dougie as well. Pam, morning to you. And an update here on the Kane Sabia there. The Portuguese Armed Forces were only open to women during the early 1990s and up until 2004. Portugal had mandatory conscription for all able-bodied men, not 2014. When I make that record in learnaboutportugal.com, I will make sure that's correct. Thank you, T-Duck. And Mr. S, Leah, good morning to you in Texas. And it's 2:30 a.m. God bless you. And it's still 86 degrees. Is that why you're still awake? Leah, next 2 days, the forecast is 108 and 111 degrees. My goodness, when you get to Portugal, you'll not be complaining about the warm weather here, will you? That's quite extraordinary. Well, all the best to you in that heat. I hope you've got wet tea towels and fans and aircon and whatever else you need to keep cool in that, Leah. Thanks for joining us at 2:30 in the morning. Weirdly, I always lose weight in Portugal, says Dougie. I think because I eat better food. Is it the mindful approach to the food, Doug? And I'm out more in the sunshine. Plus, I am limited by food choices because I don't like fish. Don't like fish! And coming to Portugal, that's a tricky one, isn't it? Not great on the Algarve. Why don't you like fish, Doug? Is it the bones? Don't get okay. Yeah, we've already nearly got our folklorics mixed up with our colonics this morning. We have Darren in as well, and Jean. Good morning to you both. Antonio, of course, and it's going to be fun. Yes, it is going to be fun. That weekend in Tamar, and so is the day trip to. I'm going to talk to Heather about the day trip to the schist villages and Barral. We're both booked up on that, and I think we're going to have some great fun on that trip with Philomena as well. As we would say back when I was working and still had weekends, so happy it's Thursday. I can't say that out loud, can I? I didn't know. I know TGIF, but I didn't know SHIT. So happy it's Thursday. Acosta Enevoada. What is that? There is that the curry house. It doesn't sound like it. Does it? What are you doing there, Gary? What does that mean? And there, of course, should you need it again, is the Tamar weekend alerts and updates there. The Boston, that's not the name of a curry house in Tamar, I'm sure. Expots Portugal, a place for tired old boilers, but very saucy. He's had 3 shredded wheat this morning, I think. Bon dia, Gumpers, and apologies for being late on parade, says Coach T. There he is. We missed you earlier on, Coach T. And I've written about you in the Portugal Resident this week. A bit damp here today, but out for a walk around our local country park. Aren't country parks fantastic? Due to dry up later with a nice afternoon. Is that you or is that the weather? I think good to see you, Coach T. I think Marcelo must have been in the Navy pulling up anchors with a handshake like that. Your God Squad tip of the day then is taking the 3 types of exercise in turn that I discussed yesterday. The first is slow and steady activity. This could be as simple as a walk, but most physical activities will do. Try to do that at least 30 minutes each day. For me, that's mostly a walk to the coffee shop in the morning, but a quick dance would do as well. I went up to, I think, 4,000 steps yesterday. I parked the car away purposefully from the meetup and made a video, me, Billy No Mates, suggesting that others might like to walk from a beautiful location, which, to be fair, we couldn't actually see because of the sea mist. But I parked up at Gralha and walked to Palmeira. So there is now a walk up to the meetup. And that definitely boosted my steps. Coach T and T Doug, is 10K the amount of steps that's recommended for most people? Because I have been realizing that I've been averaging around 2, building up to 4 yesterday. 10,000 is quite a lot, isn't it, to squeeze in and do in a day? And is that the general recommendation for people, I wonder? We have been getting temperatures in the mid-80s at night out here in the center of Portugal as well. So there you go. Leah, might not be too different in the summer here in Portugal. Thanks for that, Garvo. Let's give her a nice big round of applause and welcome her onto the Good Morning Portugal show, broadcasting across the world. It's Heather Miner from Boots on the Ground, Portugal.
Hola, good morning. Bon dia. Good.
Excellent.
Yes.
Lovely to see you. Lovely to
you
see
too. You too.
Do I see a specialism on the screen there, Heather? Visa consulting and assistance. Is that where you're niching into with Boots on the Ground Portugal?
Oh, well, that's what we've always focused on is assistance and consulting.
Oh, okay. I was confusing people earlier on, I think, with the amount of things I'm doing. It is a tricky thing, isn't it, when you're a sole proprietor of a business and you get excited about all the things you can do. But I think it's quite important for a business to focus into a niche, isn't it?
Yeah, and we really are trying to do that because it's great to help people with stuff like the driver's license exchange and stuff, but it's also kind of a nightmare. But so the visas can be too. So I should be careful what I say. But it's just visas have always been our priority that we work on, and getting that out to people. So, but we do some other services as well. But that's our big kind of focus.
Yeah, and you have to be careful. The reason why I think you do so much is it's about the messaging, isn't it? And you're quite prolific on social media. and you'll say, you know, you've an experience obviously of helping your dad move into some very pleasant sounding accommodation, and then I think, oh, that Heather helps people with that as well. Just because you say it just because you say you're doing something in Portugal doesn't mean you help other people with that necessarily.
Well, I can do consulting on like a lot of topics because of having a lot of different experience.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, yeah, I feel like I can add some valuable information and you know, things to do, things to look out for, whatnot, on a lot of things. Like pet relocation is a good example. I don't do pet relocation, but I relocated my parrot and dogs as well, and went through quite a bit with the parrot, you know. And so if you have an exotic, particularly bird, to bring, I'm a really, really good resource and have helped a lot of people bring their birds. That said, you know, it doesn't make me a pet relocator. I don't
Yeah, fair enough.
pretend to be a pet relocator. I'm also not a sole proprietor. We're actually an LLC partnership.
Yes, of course.
It's
Yeah.
US based. And so we have some redundancy in the US and a manager there and things like that. So, and then I work with local vendors here in Portugal that do a lot of the on the ground things that I offer. Like my gal Sarah that works with me on a regular basis helps do a lot of different things, but a lot of what she does is kind of the on the ground and the research, because of course she's doing it in Portuguese. So she's got some skills I don't possess.
So definitely a team approach, boots on the ground Portugal there.
Yeah, you know, I mean, if you're going to entrust your, you know, visa and so forth to people, it's to me, it's a little dangerous to entrust it to one person. But
Yeah.
if you have several people that are working on that and have access and whatnot, and also double checks, because when you look at this paperwork like over and over again, like you just see the same thing. You know what I mean? It's like almost needing somebody else to edit a paper for you or something. It's, you know, and we do, you know, there's like 4 checks. There's an initial draft, there's the final, then there's a check of the final, then there's a second check of the final, done by at least 2 people. And so that is really, I feel like, important to try to, oh, hi, Karen. And I saw Sarah's out there. I'm gonna say Sarah, and lots of people, a couple of my clients and friends and as well. And so anyways, yeah, I feel like redundancy is important, and just having availability to more than one person is an important part of that whole process.
Very good. And we love this when this happens. You're talking about your service and somebody will chime in with a testimonial.
Yeah,
Heather,
yeah.
It's a very straightforward testimonial there, Gareth. Heather is great. It's all you need to know, really, isn't it?
Yeah, we're working on getting him over here. So yeah,
Fantastic.
we need some help with all of that, man.
Yep.
We're trying to get embassies that won't open, you know, VFS. I love that. They don't just say like nothing's open right now. Their website just doesn't come up. Like, you know, and like you keep going, is something wrong? Like I have to have my friend, you know, my associate try on her computer, because I'm like, I'm just getting like the same, you know, error. And it's the same thing my clients get because that's the fun of Portugal.
Yeah. Well, you know your stuff. Sarah's telling us here. Heather knows.
I try.
How lovely. How lovely. First testimonies about the greatness of your work here. So, good morning to you, Gareth and Sarah, and thank you for saying that. Did someone say exotic birds? Stop it, Gary. And we were, before I forget, I think you were nodding when I was talking about 10,000 steps. Is that as you understand it?
No, so I read an article like just recently, and it basically said that 10,000 mark was like an arbitrary number someone pulled, and then it just became like, you know, like the thing. Yeah. And so they were even saying that it was something like, and oh gosh, I don't remember what article I was reading, so this could be totally wrong too. It was something like a certain amount of like elevated activity every day, and not way elevated, but just like walking, you know, just like a certain amount of that is good. So I think anything you do is the point. And you're right, because I was really trying to get there, and it's really hard. Like the days I get there and I really walked a ton, I didn't get a lot of work done. So I'm like, wait a minute. I can do this or do that. Like, you know,
it's true. There is only so much time in the day, isn't there? And I was thinking to myself, well, how can I do this? Do I need to do more Could I do the show whilst I'm walking?
You can have one of the
idea.
little pedal things, you know. I could
just-
actually, in theory, do that because I have a bike with like a, yeah, it would be ugly.
I-
Well, it sounds good to like pedal while you work, but like,
Yes. Until you spark up a Zoom call and someone sees you like, all sweaty and like you've already done 4,000 steps that day. I think one thing I am going to do is jack up this, and hopefully that's not a bad thing in American. Jack up this this table. Let me finish the sentence.
You
What?
do realize that the initials you gave earlier were SHIT,
I
right?
did, yeah. I was hoping nobody was
Okay.
going to say that.
I wasn't sure if you caught
Have
that.
you heard of that? I mean, TGIF, I know, but the one about Thursday, I didn't know until this morning. We learn something every day. Every day's a
You
school
learn
day.
something every day.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I thought that we would talk about some funny things. that
Definitely. No, but hold
you
on. Hold on.
only
I want to just ask you another question about
Yeah, go
on the
ahead. Go
fitness side.
ahead. Of
And this
course.
idea of if you put your studio or your desk up on legs, as not on higher legs, on a platform,
Oh.
so you're standing up when you work. That must be somewhere in between, mustn't it? If I sit down for 90 minutes every day at least, I'm thinking, well, that's a missed opportunity. If I wedge this or elevate this studio desk, and I'm standing doing the show, and I can just have a stool that I can occasionally rest on, I might be sort of walking on the spot quite a lot as well. Do you ever do that? Have you got a stand-up desk?
I don't. I standing still, like standing is can be painful for me, and so that doesn't. If I could walk, like that would be fine, but if just standing, like I
Yeah.
don't. That's not. I'm not a big fan. But sitting a lot is bad too. So it's basically everything you do in this world is bad for you if you do too much.
It's true. It's true,
Yeah.
isn't it? Everything in moderation and balance. Okay, so 5,000 is what T-Duck thinks is the recommendation. But however,
19,000,
80, 90,
awesome.
well done, well done. Good
Yeah.
stuff. And muito bem there, T-Duck. And I average 9 to 10,000 steps, says Pam as well. And finally, on this matter, Coach Turner says, great idea to park and walk. 10,000 steps is a rough ideal if you're not doing anything else. However, to maintain a steady state, 30 minutes is probably sufficient. And then add some HIIT or some fartlek style work and strength work too. So thank you very much for your thoughts, everybody, on that. Let's get to that weird stuff that I noticed you're very keen to get to, Heather, this morning.
No, I'm just, like I have like ADHD, and like it's undiagnosed, but like, I don't know. My dad was diagnosed as an adult and it all fits. So I've known for the past like 12 years or something like that. But the more I learn about it, like the more I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was like a thing and that was a thing.
Yes.
And so it's easy for me to come on here, think I'm going to talk about one thing, never get to it.
Well,
it's not that big a deal.
You hadn't noticed, that when the two of us get together, it's a bit of a difficult combination in that respect. Off we go. Right, okay. So let's read. It says weird stuff in Portugal with Heather and Carl on Good Morning Portugal. That's a good reminder. What prompted you then to share this as a theme?
Well, one, I love weird, so there's that. Which no, it's true. I like weird different people. I like artwork. I like, a lot of weird things. So that prompted me. But also just then there's weird that's not necessarily good weird. There's just like bizarre weird. But weird in general for me is a word I've repossessed is, a good thing and not a negative thing, just FYI. So do you want me to show you something? Because I brought a prop today, actually.
Well, it's hard to answer that question because I have no idea how weird.
It's not that bad. Come on.
Okay, yes, you can.
Okay, first of all, this might surprise you because I don't know. Do you have a dryer at home?
I use the sun. We don't have a. Do you mean
So
a tumble
this-
dryer? Because you've mentioned your
Yes.
tumble dryer before, haven't you?
Did I mention it? Because I brought it
Yes.
today. I brought it.
Bring your dryer to work day.
I
Excellent.
brought the thing. Okay.
Oh,
So this is the thing that slides out of my
yes, I've seen
dryer
these. Yes,
that
yeah.
you empty out. It's just really weird. And it's maybe not weird for Europeans, but it's definitely weird for Americans.
Yeah.
The extra weird part about it, not only is it weird that you have to empty this thing out of your dryer, but the weird part is, don't you have a washer next to a dryer
Yeah.
typically?
Yes.
And isn't the washer connected to the water?
Yep. And the
And
waste.
isn't the washer connected to the outlet, like the
Yep.
drain?
I see where you're going here.
So it's not like a far cry to expect the dryer to have a tube coming out of it to be able to connect it right into that drain that goes where the washer is. And then it's plumbed. Yay.
Yes. Yes. Yeah,
I
true.
actually hired somebody to do that. And they were like, your brand new Bosch dryer doesn't have like doesn't have that drain. It doesn't do
Right.
that. And
So
so
the
anyways,
water,
I just thought
we're
that
talking
was
about
weird.
the condensation, aren't we? Or the
Well,
condensate that comes
the
out.
water that's in your clothes and whatnot that the dryer is pulling out,
Yeah.
the whole job of the dryer, right?
How
So
often
it's
do
just
you have to empty that sump then? I'm going to call it a sump.
every like maybe 2 to 3 loads, depending on like how big your load is, basically, that you're washing or
Yes.
drying.
And therein
Yeah.
lies the irony that these are labor-saving devices, which is giving you another job to do.
It is labor saving. I mean, come on. But at the same time, it's irritating when like you expect your clothes to be dry, which they never are. And they not only aren't, but then the thing stopped like halfway through the cycle because it was full. Sometimes it'll actually turn the machine off,
Oh, that's
So
inconvenient, isn't it?
yeah,
But Heather,
yeah.
why aren't you using your balcony to dry your clothes?
Um, well, I don't like the feeling of rough clothes, which you tend to
Ah,
get that rough, like when you air dry
sun-dried.
towels.
Yes, it's like a
Yeah.
sun-dried tomato, but without any oil on it.
Yeah, I don't like that. And then I tried like a softener, like a fabric softener recently,
Yeah.
and I'm still trying to repair the damage done by the fabric softener because
Oh, no.
apparently I have a smell thing, which I don't normally, but like fake perfume smells
Yes, terrible thing.
bother the crap
Yeah.
out of me.
Yeah,
Like,
no, they're terrible. They are hormone disrupting. They're not good. Yeah.
yeah, I like, ugh. And my cleaning gals that are amazing made the mistake recently of washing my duvet and my sheets with the softener that I bought really for like the Airbnb people.
Yeah.
And I didn't buy it actually. Sorry about it. And so whenever I buy stuff like that, I open it up and smell it in the store. So she bought it and it was smelly because my friends, people tell me, oh, you need to have smelly stuff for the Airbnb. And I'm like thinking, no, I don't. There's people that don't want fake smelly stuff, But
Let's do a quick
anyways,
poll.
I
Let's do a poll
listen.
on that, Heather. Let's ask our viewers and
Okay,
listeners this morning.
sure.
If you
Good
go
idea.
to an Airbnb, you can understand why the host wants it to smell really fresh. So on the one hand, that would be a tick in the box for yes, definitely put fabric conditioner on things and plug in those air fresheners around the room so that when they arrive, it looks like someone's made an effort. However, there are those of us who absolutely don't really want that. We don't want a kind of musty old Airbnb smell, which you sometimes get. We want something in between, don't we? Like a neutrality, possibly a
And
fragrance neutral.
so what I do is I use essential oils and I do those oil diffusers. And I only do natural like cinnamon or lavender or lemon and then I am asking people ahead of time if they have any sensitivities to things like that, because then I can
Oh,
take those
very good.
out and not
Yes.
have those. And so I think that that's really important. And I mean, I got like vegan soaps and like just cover your bases and like just natural, because nobody's complaining that it smells like orange or if
You
they are,
wait.
then
You wait. You wait. I
unless
mean,
they have a
yeah,
citrus allergy or something, which I have heard
yeah.
of.
The lang has triggered off some bad memories from the past.
Well, here's the other thing: having a parrot, these things are fumes and they're toxic. And so
Yes.
it's interesting when you own a parrot, you learn about things that are toxic. Well, if
Yes.
it's toxic to my bird, it's toxic to me. It's
Yes,
just,
it is. And
you
these things,
know,
I think they're called phthalates, aren't they? So
yeah,
it's a very human, predicament, this, isn't it? Is to solve one problem by creating another one.
well,
And
but it isn't. You just have to know what to look for and avoid those products. So like I have pots and pans that are Teflon free. They don't have the nonstick, but they're also like, what is it? Somebody out there is going to know. It's like PBB, whatever free. And this stuff that's bird safe. Okay.
right.
And not only is that important for me to have because I might burn something shocking, um, and that would let off fumes that could hurt my bird. But it's also, those fumes are toxic. And so,
Very
again,
interesting.
just
Yes.
and the little, like, Febreze is toxic.
Yeah.
Now, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's going to kill you or your dog, but you don't want to be locked in a little teeny room with like just giant vats of Febreze.
Well,
um
some people are reassured by that, aren't they? And funnily enough, we thank you, Don and June, for inviting us over to use your pool yesterday. And we met another family who we met. This is really weird, Heather. We met some British people at Pit Stop. I thought a few weeks ago, and here they were at this same swimming pool where we ended up yesterday. And they said, "Oh, we
that's-
met you last year. Thought we recognised you." I can't believe how quickly time is passing. I thought I met them a few weeks ago, honestly, and it turns out it was a year ago when they were last here in Portugal. And
it-
they had some clothes, and we don't mind recycling clothes. We have hand me downs within the family, and if other families want to give us nice clothes, which this family did, we're
oh,
happy to take them. And as I was sat near these clothes, I could smell a fabric conditioner or a washing up powder fragrance that I wasn't used to. I was thinking, where's that coming from? And it was coming from, and fair play to these people. They wanted to wash them before they gave them away. And they wanted people to
nice.
know that these clothes were clean and fresh. And that is one way of doing it, isn't it? But I'm like you, I think, quite sensitive to where the volume of these if I don't know if with in the amazing world of perfumery, people who are hired for their noses. There
Right.
must be all sorts of nuances, mustn't there, in the olfactory world of
Well,
volume, intensity, and all those sorts of things.
I just saw YouTube that was saying that, like, people with ADHD can have a sensitivity to certain smells. I
Ooh.
could smell those sheets and my duvet. It's like my favorite summer duvet that and reeked. Finally got rid of the smell, but it took me weeks. It literally took me weeks,
Right.
weeks of like airing it out, apple cider vinegar, and like I washed it 6 times, like ridiculous. Anyways, yeah, I just saw this thing where they said like, and I could smell it. Like I would be nowhere close to it. I would just be in the room. And I was like, I can smell that stuff. And I don't have that sensitive of a nose normally. And so, yeah, I think there is something weird with maybe certain sensitivities or whatever it is. I know certain things can definitely affect me, but it reminded me of the smell of broccoli cooking because I also have an issue with broccoli. And which I know everyone loves broccolis and they're little trees and they're good for you. But I was force fed as a babysitter broccoli.
Yes,
It's a whole story.
I thought it might date back to that.
I really was. And I really have I can smell cooking broccoli and yeah, it's not pretty. Get me away from that.
All right.
So,
Well, and if that's not weird enough for you, I'm sure Heather has more. We've got a few more comments to
I
go
do.
through.
Well, yeah,
You know
because
what?
that's really just
I
what's
love
weird
your
about an appliance, not really
okay. Yeah.
Portugal specific.
Weird appliances this morning on the Good Morning Portugal show. Let's go to a few comments. And I must say, Heather, I love the sound of your Airbnb. Turning up at your Airbnb is not getting there with that musty smell and a few scratched pans where you're having Teflon with every meal, a burnt old spatula, and a bottle opener with only one arm and some blunt knives. That's quite often the way, isn't it? Yours sounds like the other end of the spectrum.
So I just posted pictures. I don't know if you saw them. I literally posted them last night on my Facebook under Heather Binder, and which anyone's welcome to friend me at. And it has a picture of me, so you can spot it. Me and my mom, actually. And yeah, you can see the pictures and stuff. And no, this was the space that my parents occupied, and it's really beautiful. It's really nice. It's nicely done, and I don't even have my exterior pictures up or the hot tub picture, but it looks really good, I think. And luckily I made it under the radar and got the license before they stopped issuing. So that's good. But yeah, no, this is part of my home. And so I have the dehumidifiers, I have the systems running downstairs because it was, I could see how it would get musty and weird smelling because you can't leave property alone here in Portugal.
You can't leave it alone.
It's a bad idea.
It has a party with itself, doesn't it?
It's a bad idea. You gotta keep up on that. So I walk through there every day just to, make sure everything's good and so forth. So yeah,
is the link to it on your Facebook profile for people who do?
It is, and it's also you can actually search Google Maps. I have to maybe upload the newer pictures, but it's Casa dos Gnomos, which is House of Gnomes. Because when I bought this house, there was a couple
That's weird.
weird
That's
old
weird.
gnome statues out front, and I love them. And I got rid of a lot of stuff that was here, but I was like, the gnomes, keep the gnomes. And one of them, they're actually very inclusive, and I like inclusivity, and they're
Hold on a
differently
minute.
abled
What?
gnomes.
The gnomes are inclusive.
Yes. Okay, so one of the gnomes is riding a snail, and one of the antennas of the snail is gone.
Yeah.
Half his hand is gone, and then a foot is gone.
Oh.
So we're very open here, and then the other snail is riding a rabbit because we like, again, diversity, and
Yeah.
we don't
It's a sign, isn't
care.
it? You're in a welcoming atmosphere when you arrive
Yes.
at the home of the differently able gnomes.
Differently abled, exactly.
Yeah.
It's how I do it. So Casa dos Gnomos, so CASADOS GNOMOS. So if
Have
you
you
actually search that
Yes.
on Google Maps, you can find my house. So
Yeah.
don't come by unexpected.
Yeah.
And there's some pictures, and I need to maybe update those, but that's another way to find
That's
it. It will be
amazing.
on Airbnb and so forth, but I'm waiting on some architectural approval on some drawings before I can officially advertise it on Airbnb.
Very good. Love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we do any more weird this morning, which we will be doing, don't you worry.
Casa dos
We're
Gnomos.
we're staying on topic.
There's
here.
more. There's more weird.
There is. I know there's more. Standing desks will help, apparently, says
Yes.
James. And I have a standing desk. I have to sit for certain tasks. Don't concentrate the same sum. Oh, that's an interesting point.
So see, I could see that standing, you don't concentrate as well. I would
Really?
guess.
Okay. I thought you just get the job done quicker standing up. But anyway, I will find out when I do it. Just do some Irish dancing to get the steps in quick. That's a great life hack, Irish life hack there. I had an adjustable desk at work. It took a little getting used to working while standing, but once I adapted, I stood all day. Wow. I'm imagining that's very good for your fitness. But, like Heather says, don't do all of one thing. Mix it up. That's the beauty of having I suppose, an adjustable desk, is you can change during the day. For improving fitness generally, sitting is better than lying down. Standing is better than sitting. Walking is better than standing. And running is better than walking. Gareth, the Silver Coast. Now, why is Gareth Scott saying that? Is that where you want to end up?
He was just in town, and he was checking out the Algarve. And I saw him make a post. I hope I'm not outing you too much, Gareth. Anyways, Sarah saw him make a post in like a British expats thing, and it was a little like iffy about the area. So I just messaged him, and I was kind of like, you
Hold
might
on
like
a minute.
this area.
Someone has been iffy about our area, Heather.
No, not our area, the Algarve. And
okay.
so
That's
I was
right.
basically, I don't want to get yelled at by a bunch of people from the Algarve. Algarve's great, but I used to live in the desert. I don't want high desert. So,
Right.
But I was basically telling him.
Somebody.
What's that?
They've got to yell at somebody. It's what they do.
Well, I'm biased. I like the area that we live in. I studied, I feel like, quite intently over 3 trips to Portugal and a lot of scouting and so forth. But it's not for everybody, but there are reasons. So I just suggested that next time he comes to check out our area, because Carl, you live in San Martino, which is, close by to me. And I live actually in Alvernia, the countryside, 10 minutes east of Caldish proper. And I love this area. But, it just, I think it's important that a vibe of a place hits with you. And I wasn't quite, I think, maybe fully hitting with the Algarve. And so I just suggested that maybe they check out this area because it's a little different. It's artsier and maybe more real. Oops. Okay,
yikes.
that's going to cause issues.
Right, let's move on. Let's quickly move on. Let's leave that there and move on. I don't care so long as the place doesn't smell bad. In our survey, in terms of highly fragrant to slightly moldy and in the middle, fragrance neutral. What do you like, folks? I don't care, says Pam, as long as the place doesn't smell bad, which of course is subjective, isn't it? Who doesn't like the smell of forest fire on their bedsheets? Now that is a problem. And this is what Louise said to us, is that everything in their house after their recent experience. And you can see that at learnaboutportugal.com. Our quiz question for the day is which...
Everything has that smell, huh?
It has to smell afterwards. Yeah, absolutely. And there's some good information at Learn About Portugal learnaboutportugal.com this morning. And the quiz question is about which apps and websites should you download and bookmark. And Louise's story is then she mentioned that. It sounds like, what's this? The bar you found. Really looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Excellent stuff. Yes, and Pete's in from the farm. No more farming today. Maybe it's got too hot there. I'm very sensitive to chemical fragrances, the phthalates. Look, and we haven't even talked about this.
Asthma.
Unfortunately, they can trigger an asthma attack. Stop using fabric softener on your Airbnb customers. We don't need any more soft tourists. Very good.
Actually, you know what I did? So my girlfriend's coming soon with a container, and I ordered like 3 years worth of like free dryer sheets that are like, you know, hippie, bio, whatever friendly.
Yeah.
It was for the towels, because it's the towels that come out really rough.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I also don't dry fully. I dry to get like some initial moisture out, and then I do air dry. But I tend to do it inside.
Amazing.
I tend to do it inside.
Yes.
Because
Wow.
my stuff will blow around, and also I'll forget about it, because that's totally like a Heather forgetful.
Yeah, and one of the gnomes might be covered by some flying.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I live in the top of a valley, you know, and so we get really nice breeze here, which is awesome. But it also can carry your clothing away.
And it also, if you hang all your laundry up on your balcony, it might look like you're communicating with the people in the next valley, mightn't it? Or the next ridge. Okay. Pete's got his farming done this morning, off to Spain to get some tapas and supplies for the weekend.
Oh, nice.
Coming on Saturday, organising his social life in the chat there. Hypersensitivity to noise, sounds, smells is a common symptom of people with ADHD or people on the autistic spectrum. Thank you for that.
Interesting.
Gary. And there we go. We've got a spelling if you do want to look it up.
Thank you. That is right.
When you've told people about this, you know, we're getting back to our theme of weird this morning.
Yes.
When you told people, if you've got a nameplate outside your house with Casa dos Normos on it,
not yet. I would love to, but I want one of the really cool azulejos, like fancy ones that's like custom made, and I haven't had the budget to do that yet. So
how are Portuguese people responding generally though when you tell them your house is called Casa dos Normos?
Usually I think, I don't know how many Portuguese people I've told that didn't know the house, but I always tell them why and point out my gnomes and stuff. Yeah. And especially if I'm doing like a tour of the house. Yes. And, you know, we all had different names for the house. My mom's name was Casa da Luz. She liked House of Lights.
Very nice.
Because this house has like 45 exterior lights. It's a little insane. If I turn them on at night, it's really literally insane. And that's a cool name.
Yes, I've noticed when you do that, the lights dim in my house when Heather's got all of her.
I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. I need to, like, there's actually a picture on the one of the Airbnbs where you see the house at night. And what happened is it had all these exterior lights with those like shell, you know, the plastic shells inside them, and they're plastic. Well, they yellow over time, and so they yellowed. So I actually had ordered new ones at Van de Klet Lighting in Caldish, which is awesome. Kind of kitty corner to Mercadona. And anyways, she found the right ones, and we ordered them. And so I replaced them all. And at the same time, I replaced the bulbs with halogen, or not halogen, but, you know, LED lights.
Yep.
Holy cow. We turned on the lights. You could land an airplane. Like, it's nuts. And I don't keep them on normally. If I go out at night, I'll put on like one section. I have 3 sections of lights. I have the lower floor, the upper floor, and then the fence. And I'll just put on like just the lower exterior, and that's it. If I really want to freak you out, then I'll turn them all on, because it's nuts.
Yes.
So when I have parties or something, I do that.
Yeah, maybe when people are coming for the first time, you can turn all the lights on. It'll be really.
You're not missing.
No, you're
not missing it.
I've got an ADHD moment. I think we encourage each other here to be quite unfocused. You mentioned your mum. Guess who is in the Portugal resident today? I think Heather Binder. Look, picture of you and your folks. And this has just been sent to us by T-Duck, who keeps a close eye on these.
Isn't that sad? So I'm 50. This was for my 40th. And
Why is-
like, it's just time like sucks. The 40
Oh,
to
how it
50.
passes. Yes, photographs can
COVID
do that
didn't
to
help.
you, can't
I
they?
know. I know.
Moving to Portugal, don't let your dream become a nightmare. You are featured in the Portugal.
Don't let what, that makes it sound like I'm a nightmare. Like, no, my
No,
mom.
that's good journalism. That's good journalism because people are
Okay,
like,
it's good.
oh,
Yeah,
this look, and we've got some shaping pants advertising as well.
nice.
Is that what they're called? I don't know. I'm not going to
I
be
don't
wearing those.
know.
Right?
They
Okay.
don't look comfortable. I
But
don't know.
every gnome should have them, I think, as well. So there you go. I have put the link to that into the chat as well. So that's lovely. Very rarely does this sort of constellation happen where you can see our co-host and read about them on the screen at the same time in the Portugal residence. So
Wow.
congratulations. Fantastic.
Or even on the website, you could have like 3 monitors all filled with Heather.
Yes,
scary.
yes, a very special moment. Only happens every month.
Only happens every month. Well, and I'm going to be coming on more often here when we figure out our schedules too. So
You
it'll
will
like
be.
happen, more than once a month.
Yes,
you can get
looking forward to
so
that
much
already.
Heather.
So there you
can
are.
get
You're in the
way too
Portugal
much.
resident today, and that will be in print as well. If you want to subscribe, you'll get it in
really?
print. I think this
Nice.
Friday, but they tend to put my pieces in online first. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing in journalistic terms, but certainly it's online now, and it will be in the print version on Friday. Let's get back to wEIRD. And
Okay.
we've also got the video from the Portuguese, which is hilarious.
Oh,
So we'll
yeah,
see
that is
that
good.
well, yeah,
That is
he
good.
makes some good points, doesn't he? They're not necessarily weird. He's a bit weird, but
He's a bit weird. I totally like him. Yeah,
yeah, me too.
I
Me
give
too.
him a thumbs up.
So what else have you got for us? Have you not got a tube that comes out of your dryer that gets full of dust and fluff as well?
Yeah, yes,
You got the
I
dust,
do.
you got the regular dust filter, or does it
Yes.
go outside on a tube?
It goes to the outside. I had
Right.
it plumbed to or whatever to do that. Yes, it does go to
Yes,
the
okay.
outside.
All
Okay,
right.
so here's something weird that's actually really important for people that have not been to Portugal or haven't owned a house in Portugal or whatnot, may not have experienced this yet, which
Mhm.
is the doors, the exterior doors all automatically lock.
Yes.
And that is not an American thing.
No.
And if you have a key on the inside and you have a key on the outside, it doesn't work. You can't
Yeah.
get in. If the key is stuck in the door, you can't from the outside use a key to open the door because that's a
Yes.
crazy concept.
Isn't it?
And it's nuts. And then the other really weird thing. So I have a French door back here, which I have the
Yeah.
shutter down because the glare is morning sun.
Yeah.
Anyways, when I open that and I go out onto my little balcony, I can't close it. There's no door handles on the outside of these French doors. I have 5 French doors on this house, and not one of them has an interior door handle except for, I guess there's one because there's one single French door. So it has to have it on the inside. No, it doesn't have it on the outside though. No, take it back. Yeah. None of them have exterior handles. I don't understand that at all.
Okay. We need that explained to us this morning, don't we? Now, when you move to Portugal, there are sometimes new things, and when it's explained to you, you think, oh yeah, that's actually a really good idea. Why don't we do that where I come from? I think I'll tell the folks back home. And then there are these things that lock you out of your house or don't let you shut the door
Okay.
behind you, where you think, I can't think of any good reason why this would be the case. So we need Portuguese people to help us with that this morning. Why, when you
Yes.
step out of your house and you've created a wind tunnel in your house because it's hot, for example, you've left the key on the inside of the front door, you step out for a moment and the door shuts behind you. You are screwed.
You are
aren't you?
screwed. And I could literally be stuck on my balcony in here because I have an upstairs flat
Yes.
and I have a balcony for my dining room. It goes out onto this balcony. Well, you go out there and you close the door.
Mm-hmm.
There's no
don't-
stairs down. You're
Don't
just
better.
stuck
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
balcony.
The only
Like-
way that is weird, definitely. And the only way you're going to get rescued, and I think I've seen this in Alcobaça, is when the bomberos come with their long ladder and lift you down like a damsel in distress.
Yeah, luckily, I was aware of this before getting completely screwed on that. But
Yeah.
I did also have to put keyless entry, like for the Airbnb. When my parents' space in particular, I put keyless entry because I was like, oh, my parents are gonna lock themselves out, or
Yes.
like I just knew. I was like, I see the writing on the wall on this. And so it was really weird.
Well
I
done.
think this brings up another one that I have questions for the Portuguese on, which maybe someone out there can answer, which is the bars. Like, there's bars on windows, there's like, my property is so fenced. I mean, you would think that the crime is high
Yeah.
because it's so many bars. Now, my house is in Central Phoenix, my US property that I rent, and that property should have bars for protection. But this house, like, I'm in the country, and like, I'm not, like, I don't understand why everything is so barred. Like, fences I get because privacy
Yeah.
and keeping your animals safe, like my dogs and stuff like that. That I totally get. But the need, or the obsession to fence and bar and gate and lock the gate and everything is like,
I've got two explanations for that.
okay,
Doorknobs and doors that lock you out of your house, I don't get.
okay.
And it's a retrofit thing, I think, for some people. And when Joel de Noort was having his house built, one of the finishing touches was to have an external handle put on his front door. He asked for that because that's what he was used to. And
Yes.
the contractor did it. And it's beautiful. It's a great big metal door. So it must have taken some doing. They had to get some steel bits into it.
That's
And
good.
they sorted it out. Now, this thing of bars and fence, yeah, interestingly, one weird thing I've observed that you've reminded me of is sometimes you will see a gate in a country property, or one out in the out of town a little bit. You will see a house that's set back from the road in quite a large plot of land, and there will be a gate, and it might have some brickwork that surrounds the gate, and maybe even a bit that goes over the top, but there
Mhm.
won't be a fence. There'll be just quite.
Oh
I don't know.
yeah, it's like
That's
a
that's
fancy
weird.
entrance.
A token gate,
Yeah, token gate.
which you can just walk round or
Yeah,
drive
don't
past.
think about going that way because
You've
that's
got to go.
crazy.
That's right. That's right. So it guides you in. And then, of course, there is the situation you described where there's more security on the house and fencing. And I think there's something about the privacy of the Portuguese home that is in there, and maybe something to do with the old days, where civic life was very surveilled and scrutinized. And in your own home, you had a private space, and that really was your own place. And that's why we don't necessarily get invited into Portuguese people's homes unless we know them really well and they become like friends and family. That's one reason. And I think also in a country home, it might be locked up from time to time. It might not be somewhere you live all the time. So that might
True.
be a reason why you can shutter it when the family are not living there, the rest of the, no one in the extended family is using it. It gets
Right.
shuttered and locked up and barred to stop people breaking in. I think that might be an explanation for that, but we shall see. We shall see from our Portuguese friends here in the chat. And we've also got flavors, new flavors on this. You've really sparked the imaginations of people here this morning.
Lavender, patchouli. I like it.
Well, and chorizo
I love
smelling
patchouli,
pillows.
but some people hate it, so
What
you gotta
about
watch it.
bacalhau? What about bacalhau as a Fabrice fragrance?
Bacalhau
No?
smell? No, thank you. You can just go to the grocery store for that. Just
Aguardente?
walk by that card in the grocery store. Don't do what I do, which is like kind of plug my nose.
Okay,
Yeah.
the Portugal, like a child does. As you're going past.
I like just stop breathing. Like, it's a little much for me.
Right. Okay. And yes, patchouli and lavender. That does sound like a great idea. Patchouli, I'm not sure about. That can send
Patchouli
off.
people love it or hate it. Like, my
Yes.
fiance
Yes.
hates it. I love it. I would
Yeah.
wear it. I used to, back in the day and stuff. So,
Yeah.
but lavender is definitely one of the smells I'll do, like cinnamon, apple, lavender, blah, blah, vanilla. That's another one that's really easy.
I haven't met a person who doesn't like lavender, or just, it's kind of neutral and inoffensive. Patchouli, yes, can bring teenage memories back, can't it? It can be triggering, patchouli. It can be very gothic.
There's a goth festival this weekend in
You live
Leiria.
in Caldash, goth capital. I mean, that's another thing, isn't it?
I love
Caldash
it.
Terrenya,
I'm a
goth
little
capital.
goth girl all grown up,
You chose well. I think Caldash Terrenya, and no one else has ever said this on broadcasting before about Portugal. I would put Caldas Terrenya as the goth capital of Portugal. I'm going to make that.
Wow.
Yep.
I love Caldish. It's really awesome. Oops, sorry.
How
Don't
about
move
this?
here.
I've read of little hacks. This is a thing then. I've read of little hacks for not getting locked out on your balcony, like a small dowel at the door, and always slip it in when you go out. Yeah,
But
you
like,
that's the whole
first
thing
of
you don't
all,
think about it, do you?
you have bugs. Second of all, you have pets. Like, I have an indoor cat now, and like, so if I go out on my balcony,
You want to shut it.
I can't, because I don't want the cat coming out on the balcony. Like,
Yeah, that's
you
right.
know, he already lost a leg. I don't know if that was from a fall or what. So
No,
like,
really.
yeah, he came from Ready Leonardo, my awesome rescue that I
Yeah.
always support. And they yeah, I just had seen him because I was dropping off donations from the expats meetup that I do, where I collect donations. Thanks
Mhm.
everybody for bringing donations. And anyways, I was bringing them by Ready Leonardo, and they were showing me around, and there's this beautiful Siamese cat, and he
With
had
3
just
legs.
lost his leg. Yep,
Oh,
yep.
no. It
And
goes quite well with
so
the gnomes, though, doesn't he, to be fair?
he does amazing. He'll be on the show next time. I
Oh,
closed him in his room, but yeah.
yeah.
Or the bird. I have to have the bird as a guest sometime.
Okay. And the other thing
So
about the doors on the French doors,
yeah.
if you've got a smoker who wants to smoke on the balcony, and we'll hear more about smoking from Tony Bryant here, who hates it, basically, in no uncertain way. Yeah, if you want to make an airtight seal when you go out on the balcony, there's another reason
Yep.
for that as well. And Heather, coming back to you then, instant feedback. Love this. Heather, most of those cases, but windows with bars, happen in vacation homes. There you go, or urban areas. Always worried with their belongings, as most people don't have an insurance for that. Okay, so you can have bars
Okay,
before you have insurance.
insurance.
Yes.
Interesting.
Good to see Nunu at the meetup yesterday. If you do need any insurance, use that Expats Portugal link that I put in the chat earlier on. Good to see you yesterday, Nunu, at the meetup. I heard that in the countryside, if there's no gate, it's assumed that it's a right of way. Try it and see. Leiria is instant
Yeah,
control.
Leiria's got to be the goth cap. I agree with that, because that's where the festival is this weekend. It's like
Okay,
fade
all
in
right. I
music.
got a smack down immediately on that, suggesting that Caldash might be the goth capital. It's a
I don't think
sub-capital.
it's, yeah, we're a half hour from Leiria, so
Oh, okay. So the Silver Coast is quite gothy in general, then, if we include Leiria in the Silver Coast.
I mean, I live here, so I'm going with that.
Yeah,
I can't really qualify as gothy anymore, but
I can see you leaning in that direction. There are homeopathic remnants of gothicness in you. And let's should we have a little palate cleanser, a Portuguese palate cleanser by way of the Portugueser, and hear about the 10 things? We chuck this in.
Yes, that's
It's
great.
been a great conversation so far. Thank you for bringing weirdness to the show, and I mean it in a good way. Let's
Every
see
time.
what let's see what Rant by Tony, an anagram of Tony Bryant, is saying. Let's have a listen to this.
My top 10 dislikes about life in Portugal. Stay with me to the end, see if you agree with me.
A's good, A's good, A's good, A's good. Wicked. It's Portuguese good.
Let me start by saying I love it here. If I didn't, I'd leave. This isn't a rant on Portugal or Portuguese people. Okay, it is a bit. But please forgive me and know that I'd be cool with you being as critical of my country. Nowhere is perfect. Okay, so let's get into it, in no particular order. Food. Tell me you're in your first country as an expat without telling me that you're in your first country as an expat. I hear people waxing lyrical about Portuguese food. Don't get me wrong, it's fine, but it's no France, and it's no Spain, and it's no Italy, and, well, you get the picture. Also, I live in a town with a population of 20,000 people. There are maybe 30 identical cafes and around 10 identical restaurants, all serving the same Portuguese food. No Chinese, no Indian, no Thai. And before you say, oh, you live in the countryside, you often have these kind of restaurants in small rural villages in England. Coffee. Something that may surprise you is that Portugal is not a coffee culture. Well, not in the way you might expect. Coffee is fuel. It's not used for socializing. Most coffee drunk by Portuguese people is an extra strong shot of espresso. Furthermore, all the coffee supply has been monopolized by 3 companies, and it's not good. It's cheap, but it's not good. Festas. I don't know what happened. I got old, maybe. I'm 51. I'm in bed by 10 p.m. most nights. I'm not exaggerating. They have this style of folk music that's played on a techno beat that shakes the window panes from the other side of the village until 3 a.m. Then there's the fireworks. And I have dogs that are frightened by fireworks. And sometimes they even fire fireworks in the middle of the day. What's up with that? Dogs. Dogs that live their whole lives on short chains. Never shown any affection, never walked, never petted, just alive to act as guards. Dogs are our friends. If you disagree with me, you're wrong, and you should be put on a short chain. I'll never get used to it. Smoking. Okay, I'm an ex-smoker. I quit 15 years ago. It is legal here to smoke in the outdoor areas in restaurants and cafes. Apparently the law is going to change later this year. Let's see if that works. Anyway, it's clear that most people here don't smoke. A quick Google told me that 16.8% of people do still smoke. Anyway, an annoying habit is that they'll be on a table near me, and the only one smoking will be trying to be polite to his friends by holding his cigarette behind him and blowing the smoke over their shoulder.
Yep.
Right over their shoulder to me.
Mm-hmm.
Grinds my gears. Driving. Speeding. I'm not talking about normal speeding. I'm talking about ridiculous speeding. Overtaking on blind corners. Driving around bends in the middle of the road. Parking on or next to blind bends or the crest of hills. Parking on roundabouts. But the worst of all is the tailgating. And listen, you will experience some or all of these every day if you drive in Portugal. I hate this. For me, this may be the worst part of living here. Foreigner price, or estrangeiro price as we say here. Many people will assume you're rich if you're a foreigner from the UK, US, etc. and inflate prices to the moon. Especially watch for this when having contractors in. I've seen people charge 10,000 euros for jobs that should have cost 1,000 euros. It's no joke. Bureaucracy. Look, I've lived in a lot of countries and gone through the process of becoming a resident, opening bank accounts, starting businesses. I've even lived in Spain, which has notoriously awful bureaucracy. Portugal is worse. Seemingly simple things like license transfers can take years. My wife's residency permit took almost 3 years. People will blame COVID. I'm not buying it. It's paperwork. It could have been done at home. Also, we witnessed them screwing up appointments over silly trivialities. Inefficiency, a lack of viewing people as customers, unnecessary procedures, rules varying from district to district, constant rule changes without notification. Portuguese bureaucracy is pure hell.
Pure hell.
The paradox of amanhã, time and friendliness. Well, we've had workers tell us they'll turn up at 9 a.m. and then they've rocked up at 4 p.m. or not at all. Go to the builders merchants. Each guy will be shaking hands and shooting the breeze. You just want to buy some wire. They want to talk for an hour. People will abruptly stop their cars and block the roads to have a chat. There's no regard for time. So on one hand, we came to Portugal for a slice of that laid-back lifestyle.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just want to get shit done.
Take a chill pill, Tony.
Probable cause. This is a bit of a funny one. The GNR often do roadblocks here where they can check your vehicles, your documents. Are you carrying trade tools when you're not supposed to be, or untaxed goods, etc. And it's not rare to be stuck in these for a good 15 minutes. They ask you all sorts of questions. Look, I'm always operating within the law. But to me, this is lazy policing at best and a real infringement on personal freedom at worst.
Uh-oh.
Well, no list should end at 11, but this is just a special mention for the wannabe hippies who appear on the expat Facebook groups to let everyone know that they're coming to Portugal just to run yoga classes and sound baths. Seriously, just no more, for the love of God. All right, so that's my list. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree with any of my gripes? Do you have other gripes that I haven't thought of? Okay, if you're new around here, please consider subscribing. It really, really helps me. And if you like the video, please give it a like. Muito obrigado, amigos. Ciao.
So what are we making a Portuguese in there? Nice one, Tony. And it's interesting, Pam saying most of the things he hates, other things I like about Portugal. I
I
agree.
saw that.
Yeah. I'm with you, Pam. There. And
I don't
think,
know. I kind of like his list. I like a lot of things on his list.
Was there anything that stood out in particular?
Well, the food thing is true. Like, it's like, okay, variety is a thing, and I'm not going to complain about pizza because I love pizza, but like we have like something like our fifth or sixth pizza place now opening in college, I've heard about. And we already had like an amazing pizza place. And so now we have several, but I'm like, okay, Greek, like Thai, Chinese, like, we have amazing Indian, like we're really fortunate in what we have, but we have so many Portuguese restaurants and cafes that all serve the same thing. And I know homemade, like I've had Portuguese people come to my parties and stuff and potluck and like bring food, and they bring different stuff. And so it's not that this food doesn't exist, but it's just not what's sold out there, it seems like,
But
so that's
it's only a matter of time here, don't you? I mean, I think
it is a matter of time.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we're approaching a point, and this is something I think we need to be very sensitive about, of being
True.
1 in 10 people in the country will be a foreigner. And inevitably, I mean, where in the world have foreigners turned up and not brought their food with them? It just doesn't happen like that, does it? And Portuguese are no
Right.
exception to that. When the Portuguese go around the world, it's lovely to see, little Portugal in Stockwell in London, for example. And that's going to happen here in time. And that's something,
Yeah.
the way we can look forward to, isn't it? The diversity of nations coming to Portugal is extraordinary as well. Not only the number of foreigners, but the diversity of their cultures and backgrounds. And as
Right.
you know, I think I'm well up for this festival when we might have one day where all your dreams, Tony and Heather, will be met on one special weekend where you can walk around like a festival ground and try the food, drink, and culture of the many nationalities and cultures that are heading towards Portugal at the moment.
That would be fun.
That is going to happen, and you can expect it, I think, in a town near you soon too as well. There are more Asian restaurants popping up, aren't there, for sure? And I think this is going to be an increasing phenomenon.
True.
Because the foreigners are kind of self-serving in that way, aren't they? They want their own food and they want to serve it to the people of the same country. And it works on a touristic level as well. So I think that's just a matter of time. What about coffee?
Yeah.
I mean, what's wrong with coffee being a fuel and not being a day out?
I have no issue with coffee. Of
Yeah.
course, the animals, there's a lot of animal issues here. Birds like crazy. And yeah, there's a lot of animal issues. So I agree with that one. The driving, I would definitely agree. Can be some kind of interesting passing that people do in the countryside roads. And of course, there is no tailgating in Portugal. That's what I always tell people. There's no tailgating in Portugal. It's just called driving.
Yeah, right.
It's normal here. Like, it's normal.
Yes,
but
right.
that is hard because
it's not aggressive either.
It's not meaning to be aggressive. It's weird because the Portuguese people can be so concerned with offending you and like really fearful of that. But then they'll drive right up on top of you. Like
the character changes on the road, no question about that. And I think his point about the police is a good one as well. That just seems to be a way of creating revenue.
Right.
And increasingly so with the sort of spurious reasons for stopping people and doing roadblocks at weekends and at certain times of the month as well, maybe to raise funds. But the driving thing, where we come from, perhaps we would think that's a sign of aggression. I mean, I don't think it can't be defended on the grounds of safety because people are driving too close to stop. But it's not an aggressive. It's not an aggressive.
It's not aggressive. I think the biggest issue I have with that is really the passing. When people do some really dangerous passing, that's really stupid. And but the best thing with the tailgating is just slow down because they'll pass you. But then then that's the danger, right? So it's a thing, and that's definitely a concern. I know someone mentioned Mexican food. We do have good Mexican food. Nacho y maíz, very good in Caldish. So we are lucky here, honestly. And I think you're right. There's a lot of things that are changing.
Yeah. It's in the post for sure. Right, Heather's here, and we will do one more weird thing. Do you know what? It's 3 minutes to 10 already. I want to do the quiz for you today, and I want to do the dad jokes with you. But before we do that, thank you, Tony, for your list about which James says, I felt the smoking, dogs and food, not experience the speeding issue and enjoy the slow pace and socialization. Pam, I agree about chained dogs, but you can report it. A tiny coffee can be drunk in a minute, or you can sit in a cafe all day. Depends what day it is. Yeah, Tony. And you can talk to him directly about that next time he's on a Thursday with same day he joins us. It's a fantastic mix of Beyond Lisbon's Katia Lima and the Portuguese. So you can address that directly with him next time he's on. One more weird thing from you, if we may, please, Heather.
You know,
are you out of weird?
I think I'm sort of out of
weird
off the top of my head, at least. Yeah, I'm like distracted.
Maybe that's a chapter in your autobiography, all out of weird. So yeah, no, fair enough.
I'm too distracted to do an autobiography. There's just no, that would like never happen.
Well,
but
read about Heather's first experiences coming here to Portugal in the resident today. Delighted to have written about you and shared some of your story, and it alludes to the many good reasons why people might want to consider working with you and a bit of your backstory there. So delighted to have shared that. May I ask you the Portugal quiz question of the day, please?
Oh,
Heather?
gosh, that yes, but I hate. Yeah, I think you did, but I think I did okay.
Okay, I think you
sure.
did.
People love me or hate me.
It's the taking part that counts. It's not about winning necessarily, although some people do get a bit competitive with this. Let me bring it to your screen now. The Portugal quiz question of the day today. It's a somewhat serious one. The Portuguese is there again, how to track fires in Portugal, one of the many videos that is featured here. The simple question today is, which apps and websites should you download or bookmark when it comes to the serious matter of wildfires, bushfires here in Portugal? Is it fogos.pt? Is it ipma.pt? And is it safecommunitiesportugal.com? It's something of a trick question, Heather.
Well, okay, I would say all three probably. I do have fogos.pt on my phone. But yes, probably all three of those provide good information.
I will leave that hanging there. Thank you for your answer. Go to learnaboutportugal.com if you would like to make your guess or comments, indeed, as well. Perhaps as a result of the passing habits, I've noticed some folks have a tendency to drive with their right wheels on the very edge of the highway, even a bit to the shoulder. Startling when biking. There is that, but there's also driving in the middle.
Or on the other, like, hello. Yeah, we have some real issues with like what my lane is and what your lane is. And
again, I've become more relaxed about that because I know at the last minute people are going to go to their side of the road. And so my theory as well is in a Catholic country, in a country of faith, driving is more dangerous. I've noticed that in India and in Mediterranean Europe.
And I have to just say, like, people out there, don't be afraid to drive. Like, honestly, like there is some things to be more aware of and stuff, but the driving itself, I mean, I grew up in the suburb of Chicago and driving downtown Chicago, and like, I've driven a lot of places, and it's really fine here. It really is. It doesn't mean there aren't some differences. There aren't some things, but in general, I feel like driving here, especially in our area, is like chill and it's super fun. There's no like hardly any stop signs. Like, so you just are cruising all the time. I love roundabouts. It takes 4 or 5 months for me, at least, to really have adjusted to the driving and like the roundabouts. But now, like if I had to go back to the US and drive with lights every 2 seconds, I would be really having a hard time. So
it's not a literal stop here. I mean, I'm sticking my neck out here. Maybe it is, but as I experience it, it's not a literal stop, is it? In Mexico, I was pulled by a Mexican bike cop for not stopping at a stop sign. It's not something you do in the UK, and I don't think you do that here either. It's
I don't know. I have to ask my new gardeners because they're actually GNR guys.
All right, is it literally? I mean, I guess if they want to pull you, they will. If they see you not stopping at a stop sign. But
yeah, if there's GNR questions out there, feel free to pose them, because I already plan on asking my GNR gardeners, who are apparently 6 or 7 of my neighbors are GNR.
Well, here's one.
Questions.
Will they come onto the show? Can we?
I was thinking about that. I'll talk to them.
let's have a senior officer who's comfortable in this environment telling the foreigners about the GNR and the Portuguese police.
That would be really popular.
Let's do it.
I will ask.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, some dad jokes for us to finish with this. Then on a high note, hopefully. We've got quite a long one here from Gary before we go to T-Duck's Classics in the chat. A snail goes into a restaurant to book a table for his anniversary. The guy on the booking laughs and throws him out of the door. 2 weeks later, the snail returns and says, "What did you do that for?" He's a snail. Took him 2 weeks.
Got it.
Yeah, got it, but not laughing. If you can't be a good example to others, at least be a warning. That would definitely apply to some people in this community. Nothing is sadder, says T-Duck, than the look in my dog's eyes when I drop food from the table and she realizes it's lettuce. That is so true, isn't it? Dogs know a thing or two about what they want to eat.
I don't know. I have dogs that will eat like anything. So
anything, including lettuce with salad dressing on. Okay. And then back to the cops. I just saw a cop pull over a U-Haul truck. I think he was trying to bust the move. Heather, these just don't work for you, do they?
I'm trying, but I'm like reading over here and I'm looking at this screen and like this is the ADD hell here, you know, like
or as well as fragrances and other traits, dad jokes.
That's what I was reading.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't work so well for people with ADD.
Dad jokes. Well, I mean, I have a dad.
Yeah.
Thankfully, but
maybe once you start taking them too literally, they just fall apart. It's just a dad joke.
If I'm paying attention, I'll giggle at least. But
all right, thank you for at least making an effort with the dad jokes. A final thought from you, then, a last bit of wEIRD or something you want to say as a summation of what we've been talking about.
I think we just have to remember not to take things so seriously overall, and to embrace, and also to not lock ourselves out of our houses or get stuck on balconies. Yes, and really good advice.
And you will never be unhappy in life if you're thinking about Heather's differently able gnomes. That will bring
come see the differently able gnomes. Absolutely. And, explore, there's a lot out there. I think it's really about our attitude and staying positive and just, focusing on what we can enjoy and just, Good Morning Portugal, like just making it good. Regardless of what is going on, as much as you can. Not that everything is roses, but
find the good in your Good Morning Portugal. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Heather. That's a great note to end on, and we will be figuring out a way to see more of you in the schedule. Thank you so much. Have a great day. We'll see everyone tonight at 7:30 for the education-based webinar with expatsportugal.com and the Dream Team session at 9. Heather, have a superb day on the Silver Coast, Goth capital of Portugal. Take care and bye for now. Ciao, ciao.
See you later.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.